Well, joining us now to talk more about Human Rights Day is Adotei Akwei, Managing Director of Research and Advocacy at Amnesty International, US. Mr. Akwei, welcome to In Focus. It's been years.
Thank you.
It's good to see you here.
Thank you.
Now, give us a sense of what is the state of human rights in Africa. And it's a big question, but you can just zero in on certain areas and just give us an idea of what's happening.
I think the documentary that just preceded our conversation was accurate. There's been some progress. There's a higher level of awareness. There are improvements that have happened, for example, in the Great Lakes. We certainly have a lower level of violence, but there are still some critical hotspots that I think are of great concern. The election crisis that is unfolding in Côte d'Ivoire, where there's a real risk of a return to outright conflict because of the refusal of the incumbent president to step aside after the election. I think there's a lot of concern about the referendum in Sudan, which is going to happen early next month, and whether that is going to be actually free and fair, and whether there will be violence afterwards if the South should decide to secede from the North. We also have the situation in the Great Lakes, which has improved but still needs to really be consolidated. The United Nations did a very impressive mapping of human rights abuses that were committed over the last 10 years. But what does that mean? Is there going to be a follow-up? Is there going to be accountability?
And actually that's the question, that these events, these things take place in a particular region, talk about Darfur or DRC, but then something comes up in another place. Now we're looking at Ivory Coast and the focus is there. Yeah. Does this shifting of focus sometimes also take away the interest and action on the ground in some of these areas? Talk about Congo and Darfur.
Yes. Definitely there's a certain bandwidth, I think, that governments and the international community can generate. But then it is up to organizations like my own and individuals to sort of rally behind human rights defenders and to make sure that these other hotspots, for example Somalia, are not forgotten, that attention is still maintained on Zimbabwe and the human rights situation there. We are celebrating 50 years as an organization next year, and unfortunately the reason we came into being is still as vital as it was 50 years ago. So,
but can Africa take comfort in the statement like, things have improved, things are not as bad as they were, but at the same time you look at what's going on in Congo, for example, every day women being raped and people being killed. Is that any source of comfort at any rate?
I think when we say improved, I think that these issues are now being discussed in high places. The United States Secretary of State Hillary Clinton actually visited Goma. She met with human rights activists and with women, and she clearly stated that sexual violence, gender-based violence, was not going to be written off as it happens and it's collateral damage. It is now an issue that is receiving attention on a more consistent basis. But we have to go the next level forward. And of course, until you actually have accountability and prevention, it's small comfort to the people who are at risk.
Very briefly, what should African governments themselves do?
I think they have got to live up to their obligations. The African Union set up some very good standards that are based on international human rights standards. They've set up mechanisms, but it's now for them to basically live up to their obligations. For example, we have President Bashir, who is going to be going to the DRC on a Great Lakes conference. This is a man who's been issued a warrant by the International Criminal Court, and yet he's traveling freely into Zambia. Yeah. So these governments have to take this seriously, or else we'll still be here 10 years from now.
And I want to thank you very much for coming here to give us some insights on the state of human rights in Africa. That's Adotei Akwei of Amnesty International. Thank you very much.
Thank you.